This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Anything discussed during this podcast does not and is not intended to constitute legal advice. Instead, all content is for general entertainment purposes only. Listeners should contact their attorney to obtain advice with respect to any particular legal matter. Listening to, contacting us, or any of the links or resources contained within this podcast and or website does not create an attorney-client relationship. The views expressed during this podcast are those of the individual lawyers in their individual personal capacities only.
All the legal ladies, all the legal ladies, all the legal ladies, all the legal ladies.
Welcome to all. You gotta stop. Welcome to all the legal ladies.
This is not going well.
This is a season finale, though. Oh, so I feel like we can laugh through a little bit.
All right. Are you good?
I'm good.
Are you good?
I mean, no, but we'll be fine.
Welcome to all the legal ladies. Unwind with us as we navigate the fascinating world of legal tales, precedents, and the occasional objection-worthy joke.
We got those out of the way before we started recording.
Our season 2 finale. Woo! And just to think, it took me 7 years to get the podcast going, and yet season 2.
Okay.
To be sure, there is more dancing behind the camera. These two are just...
We left her hanging. The rest of the room didn't.
Yeah, well, so any favorite moments from season 2 while we're at it?
You know, every time an episode airs, I like, what did we talk about? Mm-hmm. I don't remember.
Recently, I listened to our Olympic episode and realized I was the only one who didn't get the joke about Marsha being a gymnast. Only one. Everyone else got the joke. I didn't. I do now, though.
I mean, that's on par for today, though. It's kind of been taking a little bit for you to get jokes today.
I mean, that's not uncommon.
That's okay.
I know my husband will say his favorite episode this season was the husband episode.
Yeah.
He told me this weekend that the husband's episode is the most watched episode.
Is that true?
Has he sent?
Oh my goodness!
Has he sent all of our episodes to all of his friends, or just our episode to all of his friends?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh. So I would like to prove him wrong. Watch our episodes, please. Share, like, comment, subscribe, share.
Well,
Yeah, Corey, don't just share the one you're in. Share the rest of them.
He said we're not advocating for ourselves. He advocates for himself.
Oh, okay.
I got a podcast going.
Whereas every time my husband and I have a disagreement, he texts the two of you seeking representation to argue his position. Tiffany, he got you involved at one time about the Uno rules, I believe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's try and maybe make it a little more fun and sexy this time. I don't know. Let's talk about some bad clients. Maybe that'll be interesting for
I don't want anything sexy.
on
That's a definite no. Hard no for me.
No.
I just meant like more interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Not actually. Never come here if you want a relationship with your lawyer like that. That is not a thing here.
No.
No. We do not partake in those type of shenanigans.
No.
We want money for our bills.
This has gone to a very weird place.
We talked about that a few episodes ago. That was a childhood trauma where the attorney,
Maybe you cut the
exchange.
I don't know. I suspect every other weird thing has been left.
Exactly. An attorney was disbarred for exchanging sex.
Yes, that's true. I mean, sometimes we'll do it for as cheap as chicken eggs, but like we really need money. I'm just joking because we talked about we're close to getting chickens.
Oh, yeah. Bartering.
Like the barter system.
Oh, the barter system.
Not the sex, doing the legal work.
Woo. Well,
And,
you did want to sex it up, so here we are.
We have gone off the rails.
Dealing with difficult clients.
Okay.
How do you handle difficult clients? That is what we're supposed to be.
I don't know how to handle this conversation.
when clients get misdirected, or get off track, try to bring them on track. So
We're better at that with clients than we are ourselves.
yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we feed into one another.
We do.
But yes.
How about what experiences working with difficult clients have you had? Or maybe what is the client attorney etiquette do's or do nots? Like, what do we not want clients to do?
I think we talked about this on another recent episode. There's like different approaches. Our interview with Michelle Locke. It's like, I think and I don't think either way is wrong or bad, but like some attorneys, it's like whatever the client wants, if it's within like attorney ethics, that's what they want. That's what I'm going to advocate for. Like, that's my job. And that's fine, but that's just not how I live. So like, I'm going to tell you what I think the best position is and what I think is most likely to happen. But if you don't want to take my advice, why are you paying me?
Right. Yeah.
So if you're continually wanting me to advocate something that I think is going to be ineffective or not in your best interest, like pay somebody else to do that. There are other people who will take your money to do that. And that's fine. It's just, I don't know. My life is too short to just be butting my head up against that wall over and over again.
And difficult clients can be clients who expect things of you that you're not willing to give. Like, I'm on vacation. I'm not going to answer you. There are other competent people in my firm to answer your questions. What you think is an emergency is not an emergency.
Usually in law, there's no emergencies. No emergencies.
Very rarely.
Very rarely.
Follow the instructions that I gave you and you will be fine.
Yeah.
And we're very upfront with clients, though. We have what we call an engagement letter that says, these are our work hours.
And these are our holidays, and we take vacations. And, we have our auto responder up that says call the office, and we have vacation memos that, give instructions. But
And sometimes things happen. Kids get sick. We get sick. There's a death in the family. Life happens. And we are just as much entitled to handle those moments as long as we are making sure to devote enough time or redirect resources to helping our clients.
yeah.
Not all of them appreciate that, though.
Right. So sometimes you have to know when to let them go.
Yeah.
Set them free.
I've definitely had that conversation with clients. It's like, I can tell that you do not like the advice that I'm giving you, about how I think things are likely to go. So here's a couple other attorneys, and I really think you should go talk to one of them. And you might like their approach better. They may give you a different answer than I have. But I think it's time for you to talk to someone else and see about seeking out other representation. Inevitably, those people stay. That's sort of my line in the sand. If you don't want to listen to me, like I will listen to my client, what they're telling me about their story and what their goals and objectives are, but if I'm telling you like, these are the alimony guidelines, this is kind of the range here, or, this is what's going to happen with retirement. And you're like, well, I don't want that. Well, talk to somebody else. Maybe they'll give you an answer. I don't think they will.
Or especially when it comes to criminal cases or in the middle of litigation, no, I'm not putting that witness on. That doesn't help your case. It hurts your case more. Or no, we shouldn't do it this way. We should do it that way. And sometimes clients really want to be the ones to try and like ask the questions, but it can affect the representation, because if I'm sitting there, that's always the thing about trials, right? Trials are so exhausting because you have to pay attention to what questions are being asked, what the answers are, what's the evidence, what are you going to ask and follow up for that, taking your notes. And if you have a client that's just yapping at you the entire time, there's no way to give really good representation at that point. And so you have to trust that I'm doing what needs to be done for you.
Yeah, but I do think, we are very upfront about our approach and how we handle things. And I think that leads to a lot of self-selection in both directions. I think clients who want a different approach, they don't decide to hire us. And clients who we can see are not going to be happy with our approach, we tend to encourage to go elsewhere before they even sign.
Yeah.
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 And I was just thinking about, I had another circumstance where we were drafting an agreement. And, especially when you deal with custody, it's like you want everything to be so clear. You don't want there to be anything that's open for interpretation. And so we're putting in some language, and I thought it was very clear exactly about how it's going to happen. And then my client's like, well, I don't like that language. I want this other language. And I read it and I'm like, but this is really ambiguous. So like you can interpret this way or that way. What's going to happen under these circumstances? And like, I don't think that that's it. So I think we need to stick with the original language. And like, this is what I want. And I was sort of like, and this is where we part ways, because like that is, it's actively worse than what I wrote. It's actively worse than what I wrote. And I'm not going to put my name behind that. It's bad drafting.
Yeah. And that's what sometimes people don't realize too, is we see these when they come back because there was something wrong like that. So now you're fighting over it in the next iteration of your case.
Yeah.
And we can recognize who those separation agreements are done by.
Well, and again, I think it's another thing from our interview with Michelle Locke. It's like you learn the most from your mistakes. Like you don't learn as much from when you do things well. It's like every time you have something that you draft and it comes back to bite you, oh, that's then you do that differently next time. Or, you know, somebody comes in and what somebody else drafted comes back to bite them. And you're like, oh, I need to watch out for that in the future.
Yep. That's why we're always learning on the job.
That's why they call it the practice of law. Always learning, practicing.
Yeah, so just some random, I think, etiquette, not even etiquette, but just some things. Like I always tell my clients, email me or put it in a message because we have a client portal system. Like, because it's so much easier for me to remember if it's in writing. Like I can go back to it. Whereas if you call me and because if you call, you're going to end up stopping me from doing something else, which means I'm going to have to take time to think about your case, remember where we are in that case, and then you're going to have to tell me something. So I'll have to write it down, or gosh forbid you get me on the run. I'm not going to remember to write it down. And then like, you know, later on, we're going to be talking about the same thing again. Because I always joke about professional ADHD, that being a lawyer, you have to deal with multiple things at the same time. And if you are switching, it doesn't necessarily lead to a good memory.
Right. And other dues, like you mentioned earlier, is set expectations. So that's why we have the engagement letter to clearly define what we will be doing and what we expect of our clients.
Yeah. Because if you want somebody who's going to take your calls on the weekend, like, that's fine to have that expectation, but you can't have it of us because that's not going to be us. Yeah.
And if you decide to go someplace else, that's perfectly fine, but don't ghost us, because until somebody else actively steps in, we still have to work on your case.
Yeah.
We still have to make sure you're doing well and your case is proceeding. And if you stop talking to us altogether, then that makes it hard to.
I think that's sometimes what people don't understand. They're like, well, I fired you. It's like, well, the court didn't let me out though.
Right.
So it's like, you know, you try to send someone a consent motion to strike, like, all right, well, if you want me out, like sign this. And sometimes people do, and you can get that filed really quick, but sometimes they don't. And they're also like, but don't work on my case. And it's like, well, I have to appear.
Yeah.
Like if I don't appear, that's a violation of my ethics.
Yeah.
It's challenging.
Yeah. If there's case going on, you can't just say goodbye. It doesn't work that way.
No.
And in criminal cases, the likelihood of an attorney getting out is very small without another attorney to get in. Family law is a little different depending on the posture of the case and so forth. But
yeah, when I think about attorney-client etiquette do's and don'ts, I just think so much of it is a personality fit. Like, you know, when you're interviewing, you're interviewing for competence, but you're also interviewing for like how much you get a good feel for that person. And because like not everybody is a good personality fit.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't pick an attorney that you don't feel comfortable with.
Right.
I think things got better. Better, it's not a good term, but stopped having as much attrition when I got more comfortable in not the idea of these people are trying to hire me, but that we're trying to work together for a goal.
Yeah.
And so then it felt like more like a synergy, like you're talking about, like synergy, like we were working towards that client's goal together because we mesh well versus just trying to get hired to get people's money. You know, it doesn't always work out well in that way because of personality differences and things.
I can think of consultations I've had that felt like an argument. Like I'm like giving my advice and they're explaining to me why I'm wrong. And I'm like, this isn't we're not a good fit. I mean, thankfully, I feel like those bad experiences are fewer and further between these days. You know, it's never going to be zero.
Right.
And one of those don'ts, when we call you up and say, hey, the other attorney has asked for a postponement because their child is now in children's hospital, or, you know, their dog got run over on the way to court, or, you know, don't, as much as you are feeling put upon and things aren't moving as fast as you might want to, we still have to be human.
Yeah.
Because we should still be kind to other people.
Yeah.
Things happen.
And 9 times out of 10, the judge is going to postpone it anyway. So,
Yeah.
So don't tell the judge you're a dick.
right.
I was talking to another attorney recently, and, you know, schools, they don't give us any, I mean, they just operate a different timeline and schedule than our career does. And they said, well, you know, we set this date and now my kid has something for school that day. And I was like, oh, we're going to handle it one way or another. Like either we'll bump it, or, you know, we'll get an agreement. We'll do it earlier or later, or someone will sub in. But like, rest assured, like as much as I have control of it, you will be at your kid's thing. And I was like, and that goes for my whole office.
Yes.
Because we've just got to be humans to each other.
Right.
Yeah. Thankfully, I think there are a lot of good people around here like that. Every now and then you run into someone who isn't. But I was like, I know you've had attorneys agree to like bump something from a morning to an afternoon so you can make it to your kids' stuff before.
Yes.
I like to think we'd all do that for each other.
Very thankful for people who have done that. Or I need to do it by Zoom, spur of the moment, because all of a sudden I have nobody to take care of my kid.
Yeah.
And the courts are usually pretty good about that too. So
Yeah. I remember one time I had a trial with an out-of-town attorney, and they emailed me, I think on Saturday or Sunday, and they're like, I have COVID.
I remember that.
Yeah. It was a holiday weekend, and I drafted the motion to continue and like filed it, and then walked over there that morning and made sure that it got granted. Because again, we've just got to be human to each other.
Right.
I would hope that someone would do that for me in that circumstance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if it's a contentious case, you're still human at the end of the day. And so it pays to be nice most of the time. But these small courtesies to one another, professional courtesies, go a long way. And as clients, they hopefully will realize that.
And even if it's not reciprocated by the other side necessarily, other counsel or other people in the courtroom are hearing about that and are going to appreciate that. And again, that adds to your reputation. Like I think we were talking with Michelle Locke, that it takes a whole career to build up a name and a positive voice and reputation. And it can take one incident to just trash it. And it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But I always used to be a fan of when I was a public defender, let's duke it out in court with the state's attorneys and go have a beer or ale or whatever you drink. Because it's not about making it personal. It's the job that we do and the representation we do. And so we're all part of the system, right?
Yes. Yes. And listen to your attorney, clients. Listen, that's what you pay us for.
And if you really think that your attorney is giving you bad advice, do a consultation with someone else and then think about hiring someone else, because just don't stick with someone you think is giving you bad advice.
Right.
It's not fun for you or them.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Yes. And we are here to advise you, but we're not your therapist.
No.
Get a therapist.
100%.
Yes. A copay is much cheaper than our hourly rate.
Yes, it is.
And frankly, these things are stressful. I mean, the whole adage of like, was it criminal cases or, I mean, it's not true that bad people at their best, but like bad people at their best in family law is good people at their worst. It is good people during their most stressful times, going through something that is really, really, really hard. So therapy is a good idea for anyone.
Yes.
I usually recommend it for anybody that comes in for a consultation. You're going through a divorce or a custody issue, therapy. Get into therapy.
Cannot possibly hurt.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why also like emails or portal messages are so much better too, because people are like, oh, I just thought of one thing that I just need a quick answer for. But then you're going to think of another thing that you need a quick answer for. And so just listing them as you think them is perfectly fine, because I'll answer them in one big fell swoop later. And again, we are here to make money, but we are not here to run up your bill.
Yeah.
So we try to do things as efficiently as possible.
Yes.
Here's going to be my attempt at a segue. It doesn't really count because I already just announced it. I was going to say, in addition to therapy, having fun. Like going to recess.
Recess.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, over.
Didn't even go all the way around one time.
Do you want me to spin it harder?
Court cost.
Court
Okay, I'll spin it harder.
Court cost. No, you be the judge.
Do I even remember what court cost is? Did we do? Oh, cheaper keep them. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. You be the judge. Who is most likely to lock their keys in the car?
Your husband.
You locked his keys in the car?
On the first date with my husband.
Oh, he did do that. Yeah. With it running. And it was a rental on a military base.
So poor Alycia had to chaperone my first date with, well, not even my first official date, but my get to know my husband.
It was supposed to be like just a cool, chill double date. And it was just me sitting there with the two of them. And his ID and his cell phone keys all inside of a running car.
Yeah. So ask him about military police coming to check out the weirdo.
Yes. You know, he's having to like get himself back in and out of the building to try to call to get it unlocked. And then, you know, somebody reported him because that is a security risk. And he was grumpy about that. And I'm like, that person is a patriot. They saw something and they said something.
Yeah. See something, say something.
It's like I've gone through periods of time, though, especially when I was in high school. I feel like there was a week where I locked my keys in my car like 3 times and my mom was really over it. And fair.
Now it's so much harder to do that because it's all like remote.
Right.
The keys in the
Yeah.
car. You're not going to, so.
But I do leave my keys in the car, but I can't lock it because every time I do, it's like, I was like, oh, thank you. I forgot all about my keys.
Oh, it's got anti-lock keys protection.
Nice. That's pretty good.
All right. Who is most likely to get the most phone numbers on a night out?
Your husband?
Oh, yeah. No, that is true. That is. Gosh, we were talking about that the other day, like just the various places that he gets hit on.
Really?
One time, was it? I think I had our baby like strapped to me, and we took my mom to the train station. All the people were getting on the train to go back to Indiana. And so he was there, but like I was sort of like waiting with her in line right as they were getting ready to go through. So he kind of stepped back and let us have our like little private moment, and he's sitting down and some chick tried to pick him up for the ride. I left you unattended 3 minutes. And this happens to him lots of places. Yeah.
He's also a social butterfly, I think.
He's a social butterfly. He's very friendly. But we were just talking about that this week. I'm trying to think, did it happen this weekend too? I don't know.
Well, that or Marsha, if we have to pick between the 3 of us, because she makes all of the connections.
I just asked for a number. Give me your number. Just playing. Just playing, for business connections. I'm happily married. I don't want your number.
I got the joke this time. I wasn't behind.
We know and love Corey, except for when you only share your episode. Share more.
Let's see. Who is most likely, and this is unfair because I have to pronounce it, to know how to spell Worcestershire sauce?
Worcestershire? Worcestershire?
Worcester. Worcester. Worcestershire.
I think they did this for their own amusement. I mean, I'm looking at it, so that feels unfair. I think I could come close. I don't know if I get it 100% correct.
Yeah, I can come close.
Yeah. I remember when it was like one of those core memory things. It was Pizza Hut after reading all the books. So you got to go get your free personal pan pizza. And my cousin was there. And we had a competition to see who could spell supercalifragilisticexpialidocious the closest. Okay. And we both were exactly similar, except for like the last A. One was an A and one was an O.
Mm-hmm. Did either of you get it right?
Assuming he did, but he was older.
Oh yeah. Yeah, maybe I was in the spelling bee.
Oh.
No, I only lasted the first round because the nun did not know how to pronounce the word. And I was like, what word is that? And I said, origin, pronunciations. And then after I tried to spell the word and someone said the way the word actually was supposed to pronounce, I was like, I was so upset.
What was the word?
I don't even remember, but I remember 8th grade. Yeah. Was that 8th grade? Yeah, 8th grade. No, 6th grade. 6th grade or 8th grade. Spelling bee up on my stage at St. Bartholomew Catholic School. And I'm a competitive person. I was hot at that nun. I was like, you need to learn how to pronounce words if you're going to be calling them out.
Did you say that?
I said something similar.
And now it explains where Charles came from.
Oh, that boy.
Marsha doesn't do anything that she doesn't do to win.
I'll just rely on spell check. Thank you very much.
Yes.
All right. Well, on that trauma, let's move on to our last and final childhood trauma for the season. I don't know why I'm singing everything today.
It's beautiful. I don't want a childhood trauma.
Hosts share their own childhood trauma story.
We should have come up with this in advance.
We should have.
So I can tell you about my first trial that I remember in St. Mary's County Public Defender's Office. I can't remember if I talked about it. I don't think I've talked about it before. So within my first 3 months as a public defender, and I had this case, and the gentleman, my client, came to me and said that didn't happen, what the police report said. And so I said, okay, let me get the video. Watch the video. Sure heck, it was not what happened. And so I did go up to the state's attorney and say, we're going to have a trial. And the officer was standing right there and said, what's he going to say? It wasn't his pants, because the officer found a little bit of cocaine in his pants. And
that was of the Lindsay Lohan, These Aren't My Pants era.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so I did decide that at that moment, I did no longer felt bad for the officer. He was just a liar, pants on fire. And so I did have a trial, and he did testify to everything in his written police report. And then I showed the video that showed that nothing in his written police report was true. And then I argued for my motion for judgment of acquittal at the end of the state's case. And it was Judge Kasparovic at the time, an older retired judge. And he has a brilliant poker face, because I'm sitting there sweating bullets that I'm going to lose. And here's a liar, pants on fire. And he did find my client not guilty. After that, which was like a nice little ego boost for a very nervous public defender at the first time that it worked out that way. But the next time I saw the state's attorney, I was a little more emboldened. So, he was like, well, here's the plea. And I said, well, where are your witnesses? And in the middle of court, he said, God, you're such a bitch.
Oh.
Okay. Yep. It's fun being an attorney sometimes.
A woman attorney.
Attorney at that.
Because he would not have called his male counterpart.
Nope.
No.
Nope. Yep. But, still an attorney, still an officer.
Well, on that happy note.
That was enough childhood trauma.
It was. Well, thank you all for turning into our last episode for season 2 of the All Legal Ladies. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok. If you're watching us on YouTube, be so sure to like and comment. I don't know where that came from, and subscribe and listen to the audio on your favorite digital streaming platform.
And don't lie if it's on video.
Until next season, see ya.